This conference will now be recorded.
Great, thank you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is December 9th, Wednesday, December 9th. We are at a Darien Planning and Zoning Commission. Tonight's going to be a public hearing, and time permitting, we're having a general meeting at the end. We are in Town Hall in room 213, I think, room 213, and we're also having this meeting via GoToMeeting as per the governor's line or analysis. Tonight, I want to read the first line here, then read this. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. We're going to get right into it. Here we go. The first item on the agenda is continuation of public hearing regarding proposed amendments to the Darien zoning regulations, DOZR number 4-2020, business site plan application number 128B, special permit application number 314, 711, Inc., 306 Boston Post Road. Just some talking items at the beginning of this hearing. The purpose of tonight's meeting is a special meeting tonight to get input and feedback from the general public. We have a handful of people signed up to speak in advance, and what we will do is open up the chat at the upper right-hand corner of your screen for 5 minutes right now to allow people to sign up to speak. In our agenda, I think we sent out earlier a request to email Fred Donate, and some people may have done that. I think Fred already checked his email. Please. To make it easier on staff who will be presenting in the meeting, please type in your name into the chat, and you can also give it your address too at the time, but chat's not a public document, so when you do speak, you're going to have to state your name and address for the record. In order to eliminate any distractions and to make sure the record is clear, we will then disable the chat until we get through the list of people who have signed up to speak. At that time, if necessary, we will open up the chat again for people who wish to speak. I want to reiterate that if you have already submitted an email or a letter to either myself or the P&Z office or the First Selectman's office, all of those emails and letters have been forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission office and are part of the public record. Those all have become part of the public record, and there's no need to speak or repeat what you have already given to us. You're more than welcome to talk, though. Everyone's allowed to speak. As with any comments, we ask that people be succinct and to the point and try not to repeat what a prior speaker was. Okay, with that said, tonight, without any further ado, we go right into the first speaker. I would like to, our first two speakers, I'll give you who's up and then who's on deck. We have Pam Kiernan is going to be our first speaker. After that, we have Mr. Genovese, and then I think it's Miss Margaret Aronson is going to be up third. Okay, Mrs. Kiernan, if you could just identify yourself, give us your name and address, and the floor will be yours. I can't see on the screen, but I'm sure you'll start to light up. Is Mrs. Kiernan here? Pam Kiernan.
I can text her.
Okay, let's go on to this next speaker that's on the list.
Someone has just asked if there's time to send letters. There's still plenty of time to send letters to the commission.
Okay, there is, if Mrs. Kiernan doesn't come or she shows up late, maybe she can raise her hand or something. But there still is time to comment on this application. Again, we're not closing the hearing tonight. It's going to be continued to a week in January, so you still have a whole month to put in. With that said, the next up on my list is Mr. David Genovese.
Oh, hi, hi,
Genovese here.
Hi, Commissioner Mulvaney. Can you hear me?
There you go. Great. Yes, we can. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank
What's your name and address for the record, sir?
David Genovese, 15 Baywater Drive.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to share my screen. I have a presentation for you. Can you see that?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
we can.
So my name is David Genovese. I'm a resident of Darien, grew up in town, been here a while, and have been an active, as you know. I've been before this commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Architectural Review Board many times. We've been major investors in Darien and have done a lot of work with zoning. In some cases, we've needed amendments to the regulations that we thought had merit and would meet with public approval. And I've been approached by a lot of neighbors and residents of this proposed site for my opinion, and I shared with some of them some of the data that I had gathered to sort of independently look at the possible impacts of this idea, and I wanted to share them with you tonight and just give you a quick insight into some background projects that we've worked on and things that we didn't talk about, but just help you understand and help the commission understand kind of what goes into some of these projects. In 2014, we bought Chuck's Steakhouse. As some of you know, the reason we bought it, which most of you don't know, was because we were trying to find a place to relocate the Bank of America branch from 1120 Post Road. And due to the zoning regulations in that area, we knew that a drive-through bank branch could be approved due to the allowance for outside sales and service. Unfortunately, after we bought the property, Bank of America decided not to locate to this address. They did not. They wanted to be, as they put it, more on the 50-yard line, which is how it came to be situated as proposed in the middle of our new project, the Corbin District, around Corbin Drive and the Post Road. But in trying to figure out what we could do with that site, we explored the market, and a number of different opportunities presented themselves to us, including, for example, Chick-fil-A, before it opened up in Norwalk on Connecticut Avenue down the street, Shake Shack, which was ultimately what we decided to do. And Starbucks wanted to do a drive-through. There was a pizza restaurant called Blaze Pizza that was interested, and there was also Pepe's Pizza that was interested. And so we basically gave consideration to all of the things all the implications of what would happen if we did this. And while there was a lot of support through our social media channels for Chick-fil-A, we studied what was happening in other Chick-fil-A's and the kind of traffic that they generated. And we concluded that use was not a use that we were comfortable presenting to the town. This is an analysis from a service that we use called Placer AI. I don't think any of you have ever seen this before, but it's a data service that we subscribe to, which enables us to basically track visitation to retail locations or any location, to compare and contrast and to look at hours of attendance, hours of visitation, length of stay, total volume of traffic over any period that we designate. And so, after Shake Shack had been open a while and Chick-fil-A had been open a while, just out of curiosity, I did a comparison just to see what the difference in traffic generation was. And this table that I have on the screen right here shows you from May of 20 to October 31 of 20, the difference in traffic and activity between Shake Shack and Chick-fil-A. Shake Shack on the Post Road in Darien and Chick-fil-A in Norwalk. Basically, Shake Shack had 82,000 visitors. Chick-fil-A had almost 5 times the number of visitors over the same period, which I think you would agree.
Mr. Genovese, can I start 1 second?
Yeah.
Is there any way you can hit on that PowerPoint full screen or do it as a slideshow? Because it's hard to read. This slideshow is usually on the top.
Is that better?
No.
Steve and David, this is Kara. From remote, we can see it as a full screen.
I'm seeing.
Press F5, function 5.
Function 5.
F5.
Hold on.
I can see it
Steve,
like almost full screen.
Excuse me, Steve, it's Jim. If you go all the way over to the right of David's screen now, you'll see a plus and a minus side. You can blow it up.
Right.
Yeah, good job.
Got it.
You got it. Thank you, Jim.
Look at that.
You got it?
You get the
Thank
most
you, Jim.
Yeah.
seasoned veterans telling us.
Okay, continue on, David.
Thanks, David.
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the reason
Can't
I'm
see
showing, you cannot see it?
I can.
Okay. The reason I'm showing you this is just to show you kind of what would the consequence have been had we proposed Chick-fil-A versus Shake Shack. And I think most would agree that Shake Shack's been a great addition to the community. It has not caused a traffic problem. The parking designed was sufficient for its use, and it's been a great outcome and well received by the community. This is a chart showing hourly visits, the difference between the Shake Shack and the Chick-fil-A. So I just wanted to give you some background on a decision we made and the data that we use to kind of consider these decisions. In the context of the application before you, what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at the difference between a typical, what I would characterize as a typical Darien gas station with a market, albeit smaller market than proposed by 7-Eleven, on the Post Road in two different parts of town as compared to a 7-Eleven nearby. The nearest one I could find was in Stratford. So this shows you the Darien Convenience, that's the gas station that is next to Shake Shack, the mobile gas station on the Post Road opposite Duchess today, and the 7-Eleven in Stratford. And so over the period November 1 of 19 to October 31 of 20, you can see the difference in the number of visits. This is not car visits. This is the number of people who visited. So if there are 2 or 3 people in a car, I just want to be clear, this would show up as 2 or 3 people. It's not auto visits. So, but it shows you a relative difference in traffic volumes generated by these different gas station market providers. And the 7-Eleven in Stratford, which isn't as near 95, is generating substantially more visitation than our typical gas stations. What I added to this to just get a sense of what the possible impact of this proposal would be is I added to it the northbound service plaza on I-95 and the southbound service plaza, just again to get a sense of how dramatically different visitation is to these locations as compared to over the same period. And this I did over a full year just to kind of strip out of the data the impact of COVID. So this is January of 19 to December of 19, the full calendar year 2019. So Darien Convenience, that's Sam by Shake Shack, that's about 19,000 visits per year. The mobile with the market, the bigger market, had 30,000 visits per year. The northbound station, which is the first station you hit coming out of New York State, has 2 million visitors, and the southbound state service plaza has 1 million visitors. Now, the data service is not so precise as to tell me how many people are visiting for gas only versus the Chipotle, the McDonald's, etc. So I want to be very clear. This is not just people visiting for gas. It's people visiting and stopping at the station, at the service plaza. But again, it gives you a sense of the total volume. And this shows the same on an hourly basis. And I've emailed this to Fred Dunite, so you have a copy of this as well for the record. But this shows on an hourly basis the same data. Someone's got a mute. Thank you. So my concern, my fundamental concern, and I appreciate you giving me the time to just lay this out because it's a little bit of a story, but my fundamental concern is that with data technology that exists today, with Waze and Gas Buddy and apps and even 7-Eleven's own apps, they will have the ability to basically target drivers passing by on I-95 through Darien and pull them off I-95, and people that might otherwise be visiting, the 3 million people who could be visiting these service plazas. I mean, if they caught 10% of them with lower gas prices, that's 300,000 people that would come for cheaper gas in Darien. If you look at gas prices at the I-95 service stations, the southbound station is $2.29, the northbound station is $2.39. So Mobile obviously thinks they can charge a little bit higher price, being the first station out of New York for a northbound traveler. $2.39 and $2.29. The Shell on Norotan Avenue, which is in line with our other gas stations, is charging $2.59 a gallon. This was as of like 3 days ago. If you pull up the nearby 7-Elevens, and again, this was as of on the same date, so about 3 days ago, their gas prices ranged from $2.13 to $2.19 a foot, compared to $2.59 for the typical Darien station or $2.29 to $2.39 for the I-95 service stations. You take that pricing difference, which I guess is driven by the fact that 7-Eleven has great scale. And I'm all for lower prices, so I can't believe I'm not arguing against lower gas prices. I think lower gas prices would be of benefit to everyone, but I am saying that lower gas prices coupled with this location, which I think is functionally impaired from a traffic point of view, ease of access point of view, and the new technology that will enable them to target passersby and offer cheaper gas, I think it's a recipe for a disaster from a traffic point of view. And I don't think that any traffic study prepared by a professional that's submitted to you for consideration in the context of this application would properly consider these possibilities. And that's all I wanted to share with you tonight. Again, you have a copy of this. I'm thankful for your time. I feel very strongly that this has potentially grave consequences for traffic in Darien. And my son is very much against me, by the way. He thinks I'm like doing a bad service to Darien by speaking against the Slurpee. But I think there are too many other considerations that you can't control. And I worry about the impact on the town from an approval of this application. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, David. And you already emailed that to the Planning and Zoning Commission, I take it.
I did.
Great, got it, thank you. The next up, we're gonna have Margaret Aronson, and after that, Rob Levinson.
Yep. And hi,
Margaret Aronson, are you here?
Yep, I'm here, and I'm going to also share some slides that have been sent in.
Great.
Make sure this works.
Oh, I got this, yep.
Got them? Okay, and hang on, I'm just gonna see if I can put it in presentation mode. Oh, okay, as long as you can see it, okay. Okay, so again, thank you for the time. My name is Meg Aronson. My husband and I live at 8 Birch Road. We've lived here for about 20 years. Like many others who have sent letters or provided comments, I have deep concerns about the potential impact of the 7-Eleven proposal on the nearby neighborhood. This includes, but is not limited to, concerns about traffic, criminal activity, noise and light pollution, and 24-hour operations. When I first learned and read about 7-Eleven's proposal for the Duchess site, it struck me that it didn't sound quite like the typical 7-Eleven I envisioned. And so to make more sense of this, I started looking further into 7-Eleven's corporate new store expansion strategy. And as I did this, I found some things that I thought were worthy of bringing to the attention of planning and zoning and more broadly. So I quickly learned that 7-Eleven has been rolling out a series of corporate-owned test stores, which they call their Evolution platform. There are 5 Evolution stores currently open. You can see them listed here, a variety of different locations. And the company that they anticipate opening more Evolution stores in 2021. We've got a recent comment in the 7-Eleven press release to that effect, that they will be opening more stores. And one thing you'll notice about all these stores is that they all include a quick service restaurant concept, including the Manhattan one includes the Raise the Roost concept that is proposed for the Darien location. And as looking further into it and looking at these other stores, I noticed that the proposal and the draft layout share a lot of the same features as the proposal for Darien. Now, we've not heard the Darien location referred to as an Evolution store, but again, at a minimum, it incorporates some of the key features. That includes the Raise the Roost concept, having a larger footprint than your average or typical 7-Eleven store, and then other features which we can see on those draft interior layouts, like the hot beverage bar, novelty and specialty beverages, in-store baked items. And now, whether or not this location is technically considered an Evolution store, or maybe it's simply one that's going to incorporate the successful features from the Evolution stores, there's implications from this that raise further concern about the potential impacts of the proposed 7-Eleven at the current Duchess site, especially when it comes to the traffic projections. Now, 7-Eleven has been publicly touting the overperformance of its Evolution convenience stores in terms of the concept's track record for driving high levels of sales and customer traffic. I found a very interesting recent quote from a 7-Eleven senior executive. I'll read it to make everybody absorbs this. The Sylvan 30 store, which is one of the Dallas locations, has wildly exceeded our expectations, with sales 3 times what we originally projected. We've learned what resonates with customers and are already incorporating our learnings into new and existing 7-Eleven stores across the system. In addition, according to data released by 7-Eleven, the Evolution convenience stores achieved customer traffic counts in 2 of the 3 examples they've provided as much as 40% above market averages. I have a slide here. This is a slide from an August 2020 7-Eleven corporate presentation that they made at the time that they were making the acquisition of Speedway. Circled there in red, you can see the overperformance of the Evolution convenience stores versus their market average in terms of customer count. Now, it's also important to note that these locations do not have fuel offerings, so this is convenience store traffic only. Now, you can also see with the red arrow I've put here, another statement from the company indicating that they'll be rolling out the Evolution concept and its features more broadly. Now, we've found some further evidence of this new store strategy from the fact that we've identified that 7-Eleven is proposing similar stores, similar that is to the Darien proposal, in 3 other Connecticut locations. You can see them all laid out here on this table, one in Danbury, Wallingford, West Haven. Now, there's limited detail available on these proposals. They're all before their respective planning and zoning boards, but you can see some of those core similarities again, especially in terms of that large store footprint, larger than your average 7-Eleven, and then also the inclusion of the quick serve restaurant concept, whether again, some of them are Raise the Roost, some of them are the Laredo Taco, some of them have both. Now, as you compare these 4 proposals, it's notable that Darien is the smallest property site in terms of acreage, also the smallest store footprint. At the same time, the Darien location is located the closest to residential neighborhoods and requires the most zoning variances. This broader analysis also reveals 7-Eleven's new growth store strategy targeting high volume locations adjacent to major highways. Now, this is certainly smart from a business perspective, and I think we can infer that drawing traffic from I-95 is a key part of 7-Eleven's strategy for this Darien location. However, in the Darien case, this translates to an application to place a high volume 24-hour operation onto an undersized property on an already overcrowded local roadway with a nearby established neighborhood bearing the spillover effects. I also have some slides that provide some additional context on the other 3 proposed locations. I'll flip through these pretty quickly, but I just wanted to share them because, as you look at these, and these have already been submitted, you can see them online and go into more detail. You'll notice that on each of these other sites, they're surrounded by much more significant commercial development compared to this Darien location. They're served by much larger access roadways, and none of them have residential nearly as close as the one proposed in Darien. So again, these are all saved online. We'll go through them quickly here, but here's the Danbury one. We've got Wallingford, and you can see the major roadways and the commercial area. It's also a vacant lot. All the other 3 are either vacant or immediate lots, and all of them offer quick access to an interstate or a major highway, and the West Haven location. So, having learned more about 7-Eleven's store expansion strategy and the proposal for these other Connecticut locations, my concerns about the traffic and other implications of the proposed 7-Eleven at the Duchess site have only been heightened. I understand that the traffic analysis and review work is still underway. However, based on what I learned about the 7-Eleven store expansion strategy, the overperformance of these new store concepts, I do have a number of questions that I hope will be explored as this proposal and the P&Z review process continue. These questions boil down to, are the customer and traffic projections included in this proposal based on local market average, or have they been adjusted for a high volume location next to an interstate? On top of that, have the projections been grossed up for the higher level of traffic that 7-Eleven touts for its Evolution stores? Now, as many other Darien residents have commented in their letters and statements, the real world conditions we experience driving on this stretch of post road every day are already very difficult and dangerous. Just this past weekend, my husband and I witnessed 2 incidents of cars attempting to make left turns onto southbound Post Road, but getting stuck perpendicularly across northbound Post Road, blocking northbound traffic while waiting for a break in southbound traffic. One of these incidents occurred at Duchess, the other at Bertucci's. Both were during non-peak hours. And there's also already been significant concern expressed about whether the conclusions of the traffic analysis submitted with the 7-Eleven proposal are realistic based on what we know and what we experience every day from driving these roads. My added concern now, based on the research I've shared with you tonight, is that these already alarming traffic projections may turn out to be grossly underestimated if they do not account for the location right off I-95 and for features proven to draw higher customer volume than market averages. Thank you for your time and consideration and for your service to the town.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrison. I appreciate that. And Mrs. Harrison, you submitted this to the P&Z, I assume?
Yes, it's submitted
Okay.
and I've seen this already posted online.
Great, thank you. Next up, we're going to have Rob Levinson. After that, we have Gunnar Edelstein. Okay, Mr. Levinson, are you available?
I am here, and I have some slides that I've submitted, and I'm just wondering how I can display them.
That's a technical thing. Yes, Fred, donate that.
Rob, you should be able to access controls at the bottom of your screen. There should be an icon for screen. You see that?
Yeah, hold on one sec. Sorry about this. Okay. Sorry, I had to make how about this? Stephen, why don't you put me back one in the queue, because in order to take control, I have to restart the application. So let me do that, and I'll be ready next.
Okay. I'm just going to do a shout out for Pam Kiernan. Is she available yet? Did she come in?
Yes.
I'm here.
There you go. You look like Jen Leahy. Nice to meet you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Wow. Thank you. You're just trying to butter me up a little bit. I'm Pamela Kiernan. I live at 1685 Post Road in Darien. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes tonight. As I've been coming up to speed on the 7-Eleven application, what it reminds me of is the Whole Foods application and the breathtaking pushback that we're receiving against 7-Eleven reminds me a lot of what went down when Whole Foods was applying. So we ended up greenlighting the Whole Foods transaction. So what the tack I'm taking this evening is, what if this does go through? What if, because the pushback against 7-Eleven is absolutely breathtaking. The petition alone is legendary. So I'm thinking, what happens if this does get greenlighted? What does this look like later on? Because the real risk that I see in a transaction such as this is not that we go into business with 7-Eleven like we do with Whole Foods, but Whole Foods has become Amazon, right? We can't, I miss getting my 5 different kinds of sliders, excuse me. And now I'm assaulted by the 365 brand. And that's just because we didn't anticipate, or maybe we did, but maybe we didn't enough anticipate what the end game looks like, having decided to do a transaction with Whole Foods. And using those learnings, what happens if we end up doing a transaction with 7-Eleven, and then what? And the reason I'm thinking about this is because when you look at 7-Eleven as a business, it's gone through so many changes in the last 2.5 years, not the least of which is a complete mutiny on the part of its own franchisees, who issued a no confidence vote in the parent in 2018. 1.5 years later, excuse me, 1.5 years later, 7-Eleven enters into, enters into an arrangement to buy 4,000 Speedway locations. So they're effectively doubling down on oil and gas, which is why they want to come to Darien, Connecticut and install 12 pumps in this tiny little parcel of land, because they are now, in effect, an oil and gas company with some retail operations. So if you look at 7-Eleven as a business partner, this is what we will end up getting. We're getting a business partner who has had flat earnings for the last 10 years. They are effectively a very old business model. At the very least, just look at their desire to put 12 pumps in that one location. In a world where Tesla is one of the best performing stocks of 2020, and Ford and GM have both said that they're going to be manufacturing half of their fleets fully electric by 2030. So if this transaction goes through with 7-Eleven, we're already being presented with a 2010 looking business model. Brick and mortar retail, oil and gas. Nothing forward looking at all in terms of accommodating electric vehicles. Just in the first quarter of this year, 7-Eleven's earnings, brought by COVID, again, a very backward-looking business model, 7-Eleven's earnings were down a breathtaking 73%, and fully on the year, they're projecting their earnings per share is going to be down 45%. In a year where they are contracting to spend $21 billion in cash to buy Speedway. So I can understand why they want to install 12 gas pumps in Darien, Connecticut. We have already evidenced that we are sympathetic to truck stops, and you can practically see truck stops right from the Duchess location. I completely concur with everything David said about using the apps to drive traffic to cheap gas prices, because they're effectively an oil and gas company now. So this business plan that they're proposing to us, to me, looks nothing more than a corporate Hail Mary pass to drive some revenues while they're trying to stem their lack of earnings. Thank you.
Pam, can I interrupt 1 second?
Yeah.
We just need to keep this to land use issues. We don't discriminate based on size or of corporations.
Okay. I understand. So given so, and I haven't spoken with anyone, then I'll just jump right to the punchline. So, and I haven't spoken with anyone on Birch Road about this, and I haven't spoken with Wilder Gleason, whose presentations on this topic are pretty much a mic drop. But the issues around crime in these locations are legendary, so much so to the fact that 7-Eleven itself has been studying the effect of convenience store crime since 1975. And it's such a thing that that it has its own Wikipedia page. So when I just drop down to the punchlines and the land use issues, what I would say is this: if this deal goes through, it looks to me like the benefits are inuring to 7-Eleven and not to Darien, Connecticut. We get increased traffic, well-documented increased crime, and they get to sell their gas at any price they choose, because we're a community that's rather insensitive to gas prices. Given that, and given that their business plan looks like it's kind of a Hail Mary pass. It does put us in a leverage position to be able to negotiate things that we want out of this. So I don't see
just have to-
why.
We're really not in a position to negotiate, but we just have to keep it to land use issues, if you don't mind.
I understand.
Steve, let her talk. She's part of the public. Let her speak. Sorry.
I'm the chairman, Kara.
I understand,
do
but
it.
let her
Thank you, Kara.
No, he's right. Well, who do we address these issues to?
This
It's
is a
not the-
land use board. This is a land use board. You can always call in and put stuff, but
So where does she
finish your piece. Let them
answer her
finish your
question?
piece.
Well, who approved? Okay, then who was it who approved Whole Foods? How did Whole Foods come in here?
I'm sorry?
We have to be very careful about how we're allowing companies to do business. Okay. Right now, this transaction is with a potentially fiscally weak partner who is in the position to not bring a lot of benefit to the community. And I understand that they have a proposal in front of us, and we have to acknowledge that. But residents on nearby streets should not have to suffer because of this transaction. I don't see why the neighborhood streets, and I was thinking about Birch Road because it's a beautiful road in town, and I haven't spoken with anyone on it, but why couldn't we ask or insist that 7-Eleven pays for 24/7 gated 24/7 manned gate onto Birch Road? That's a land use, right? As part of this transaction, there should be no reason why neighborhoods should suffer a decrease in property values just because of this transaction. So there are ways to mitigate our downside if and when this goes through. So those are the only points that I'm attempting to make. If it's not land use, and you can point me in the direction of who to share these points with.
No, that's fine. It's part of a special permit application is to not deter property values in the area, but you can definitely speak to directly Jeremy Ginsburg, who's a paying zoning director.
On what she raised though, so Steve, in terms of like what's land use issues and what isn't there a predisposition issue of whether a site is appropriate for a service or gas station, which has not been addressed or like decided on yet?
And that's what we're gonna get into, but it's whether the company is it $1 billion company or a $20 billion company or a $200,000 company.
But the appropriateness of like the land use and what she was saying all comes into play. And so to keep kicking it off like it's not our issue and like to keep kicking the public away.
I'm not kicking anybody away, Karen. Let's just keep going on with the people that spoke.
Because I think this is
Well,
for
let me close by saying this. Thank you, Kara. We do pose a risk by bringing in a large major corporation versus, say, Donut Delight, or if Uncle's wanted to open up another outpost there. The reason being is if Donut Delight goes under, then we all get to come back to the table again and decide what happens in that parcel. If 7-Eleven goes under, if their earnings keep dropping and they're a takeover, then who buys 7-Eleven and buys that app with 22 million downloads? Because just like Amazon buying a Whole Foods, we don't get to renegotiate again what happens. would we have given the parcel to Amazon, or would we have negotiated something differently? Because if something happens with 7-Eleven and Walmart buys it or Alibaba buys it, I mean, it is owned by a Japanese company, we don't get the option again to discuss what they're going to be doing on that piece of land. That's it. That's what I was going to say.
Great, thank you. We appreciate your comments. The next up, I think Rob Levinson, is he ready?
Yeah, let's try this again.
Then after Rob, we have Gunnar Edelstein.
Okay.
Here we go.
You can see the screen now?
Yep.
Great. I apologize for that. So my name is Rob Levinson. I live at 30 Point of Woods in town. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for your time and energy serving the town. We greatly appreciate all of you working in service for our community. I'd like to spend my time talking about certain misrepresentations, inaccuracies, and assumptions that are being made by the applicant in support of this proposal. Some of what I'll go through is a bit arcane, but I'll do my best to be brief and succinct. The applicant's own traffic study is telling us today that we will have a very serious traffic problem on Post Road around exit 13 as soon as the 7-Eleven opens its doors. That critical point is not up for debate. The only debatable item is how bad the traffic is going to be. For that, I'd like to quote the 7-Eleven traffic impact study. And they just where it goes on that the site driveway is expected to continue to operate at LOSF under 2022 combined conditions, with calculated delays and queuing being significantly higher than existing conditions. Additionally, the site driveway is expected to operate over capacity during both peak hours with a shared lane configuration. Operations at the fitness studio driveway are expected to worsen under 2022 combined conditions. What does this mean? LOSF means that drivers can expect a delay of at least 50 seconds, 50, at an intersection with a traffic signal, and at least 80 seconds, 80, at an intersection without a traffic signal. As vehicles wait to make their movements, other vehicles continue to line up, adding to the wait, and the traffic queue grows. You need to dig through the report, but the estimated length of these queues is provided in the appendices. With a high degree of confidence, the traffic expert forecasts afternoon peak hour queue length of 230 feet inside of the parking lot. The parking lot is only 180 feet deep in a straight line. So just to be clear, the 7-Eleven expert is telling you today that at peak hours, vehicles are going to be lining up inside the parking lot. Let's extrapolate on this. If vehicles can't get out of the parking lot, how are they going to get into the parking lot? Where is this traffic jam going to evolve to? Using 7-Eleven's own numbers, we know that virtually all of this incremental traffic will be coming from and returning to I-95. The applicant did not provide any analysis for vehicles traveling north on 95, so we can only look at the impact to the exit 13 southbound off-ramp. Now, everyone who lives in town knows that this series of intersections can be difficult and is the cause of serious traffic problems. What is 7-Eleven telling the commission today? Let's go to their report, and I'm on page 41 of the November 3rd supplemental report. As I understand these numbers, the expert is telling you today that with a high degree of confidence, we will have queues backing up 180 feet from the first stop sign exiting 95. That's okay, because that ramp is about 500 feet long, and I'm using Google Maps to make these approximations. But the next stop sign will see traffic queues of 168 feet. How is this possible when the intersection is only 40 feet long? Again, everyone in town knows that cars double up in that little area, leading to very erratic movements. And if cars can't clear that second stop sign, well, they're not going to pass the first stop sign. And now we're talking about a line of traffic backing up onto I-95 at rush hour. Now, just to be clear, I didn't come up with these numbers. This isn't my analysis. This is what the applicant is telling you today. Now, what if their traffic projections are too low? We saw Mr. Genovese and we saw Ms. Aronson discuss the real risk that, you know, this business model is uber successful. What situation are we left with then? Can you imagine how the Connecticut Department of Transportation is going to come in and try to remodel the entire exit 13 interchange? Now, the expert tells us that this is all fine. Part of his rationale is that there have been very few traffic accidents in this area. His data comes from the Connecticut Crash Data Repository, which fortunately is a public database. He reported that just 19 crashes occurred in this area during the years 2017, 18, and 19. But that's not what the Connecticut repository shows. I don't know how he sliced his data, but here's the actual report for accidents surrounding the Duchess site and traffic getting on and off of I-95. 95 accidents were reported along Post Road during this period. And this number is corroborated by Darienne's Police Captain Schroeder's email to this commission on October 28th. Lastly, I'd like to highlight how the applicant has used Darienne's regulations selectively to mislead the commission. In its initial application and narrative letter, the applicant selectively quotes from Darien zoning regulations. I've copied their selection here. This seems to say that happy days, 7-Eleven is here to fulfill our community need. Great, we should sign up. Now, the regulation that they've quoted is on the right of this slide. The regulation, of course, it doesn't just say that. The next slide that I'll show has the full regulation. And the very next sentence to what they're talking about says that any SV use, the service business zone use must be, quote, not be detrimental to the surrounding residential areas. These two sentences are not separable. They must be read together. For any interested party looking to provide businesses which serve a community need in a service business zone, they must do so in a manner which will not be detrimental to the surrounding residential area. How does the town enforce this? Well, it's through you, the Planning and Zoning Commission. You are the gatekeeper. 7-Eleven's application then says it satisfies town regulations 1005 and 1025 for special permits. 1005 and 1025 actually clearly say to not grant special permits for applications like this. And I quote, the commission may authorize the issuance of a special permit after considering the health, safety, and welfare of the public in general and the immediate neighborhood in particular. 1005 then requires that you, the commission, make findings which are not possible here. Specifically, the commission must find that, quote, the design, location, and specific details of the proposed use shall not adversely affect safety in the streets, nor increase traffic congestion in the area, nor interfere with the pattern of highway circulation in such a manner as to create or augment unsafe traffic conditions between adjoining developments and the district as a whole. The applicant's traffic expert is literally telling you today that you cannot make this finding. Attorney Wilder Gleason has also presented previously on other defects of this application, including section 1025. Now, let's be clear about this. If 7-Eleven wants to come to Darien, then it should make an application which complies with the town regulations. Darien has many national chains successfully operating here, and we have many gas stations with convenience stores. None of these has required such special treatment. We can infer, and Ms. Aronson did a great job with this, we can infer that 7-Eleven's strategy is to drive as much volume from I-95 as possible, with sophisticated marketing led by discounted gas prices. As a business person, I think this makes a lot of sense. We know that they are pursuing this strategy in at least 3 other Connecticut locations right now: Danbury off I-84, West Haven off of exit 42 on 95, Wallingford off of exit 66 on the Merritt. And those sites are all either vacant or abandoned, and none abut residential areas. So let's be clear, 7-Eleven's problem here is not Darien zoning regulations. Their problem is that this site and these intersections are not big enough to handle their desired traffic. In many ways, Darien has a system of zoning regulations principally to stop developments like this one. And you, the Planning and Zoning Commission, are how the town enforces this. Based on the foregoing, I urge the commission to not provide the zoning amendments that the applicant has requested and to deny its special permit application. Thank you again for your time and your consideration and your service to the community.
Welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to have Gunnar Edelstein, and after that, Mrs. Louisa Spear.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Edelstein, are you available? Are you here?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Gunnar Edelstein. I live at 118 Colony Road here in Darien. And before I make my comments, I'd like to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission for your time. I know it's a volunteer job, and I know you guys spend an incredible amount of time at this, so thank you so much. Anyway, I've been a resident here for 38 years, since 1983. I've been in the real estate business since 1986. I'm the past president of the Darien Board of Realtors, and I specialize in residential sales here in town. I'm not making a pitch for me as a realtor, but I'll tell you where I'm going. Darien is the high quality town in the state of Connecticut. I'm going to make the assumption that everyone who's on this meeting are residents of the town and probably own property here in town. As the high quality town in the state of Connecticut, I think it is the Planning and Zoning Commission's part of their job is to maintain that quality. And in my opinion, this application by 7-Eleven will degrade the quality of the town of Darien. And because of that, I urge you to reject the application. And the reason for that is, by my count, we have 10 gas stations here in the town, plus 2 gas station plazas on I-95. If you're really looking for cheap gas, go over to Citgo in either Glendale or Springdale or Glenbrook in Stamford, or just go up the road into Norwalk, and you can get cheaper gas there than any place else in Darien. So the reason that this particular 7-Eleven, it would be a huge increase in traffic. Now, my office is at 455 Post Road. It's probably about 200 yards down the road on the other side than from where Duchess is. Increased traffic on the Post Road, increased congestion, a definite increase in pollution, and a huge degradation to the quality of the town. It's not appropriate for the town of Darien. We are a residential town, and in order to maintain that quality, a 7-Eleven is not appropriate for the town of Darien. I strongly urge that you reject this application. Thank you very much for your time and efforts.
Appreciate those comments, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next up, we're going to have Ms. Spear, and after that, John Turner. John Turner, you're on deck.
Good evening. My name is Louisa Spear. I live at 23 Pond Lane in Darien for the past 37 years. Mr. Chairman, you have stated that the approval or denial of an application is not based on the public outcry. We respectfully request that the Board of Selectmen and the various boards trusted to protect and manage Darien stand by the Board of Selectmen 2019-2020 goals and objectives, and continue to preserve and enhance the quality of life that makes Darien a desirable hometown. By your admission, you have never seen so much activity in one application, a fact that must be recognized as the taxpayer's right to vehemently oppose any business, not only 7-Eleven, any business with such characteristics in this town. The opposition and concerns expressed in the almost 100 letters and emails on file and the 1,200 petitions urge town officials to exercise their power to prevent such an aberration in our small town. Town officers, you must deny the many variances and these applications for 7-Eleven to file and accommodate them in their touted growth trajectory and place therein interest in the first place. You are responsible to maintain therein safety, prevent crime, avoid traffic increase, avert property values decrease, and be with the guidelines and objectives cited above. Preserve the quality of life that makes therein a desirable town. Thank you. And one last question. The last posted minutes in your website for this day are from October 27 of this year. It would be desirable to see the rest of those minutes as soon as it's feasible. Thank you very much.
Yes, the minutes will be posted when they're approved. Thank you for your comments and your time. We appreciate that. The next, we're going to have John Turner. After that, Mike Lorelli. I think I said that correct. Mr. Turner, you here?
Yes, I am here. Thank you very much. I likewise agree with all that has been said up to now and acknowledge great contributions of Levinson, Aronson, and Genovese, and also thank the P&Z for your support of the Darien community. My comment, this is John Turner. My wife Kathy and I live at 20 Point of Woods Road here at Darien. My comment is on the traffic side and the great prospect for tragedy. Exit 13 South and Post Road South, they are an accident waiting to happen. When you observe the multiple cars exiting 95 South and crowding the median to go south, you can't help but think of the game chicken. This median is only built for one car, but often you see 4 cars, vans, SUVs crowding this median. Now add in all the cars traveling from Norwalk to enter exit 13, entering 295 South. It's really a crazy situation. Kathy and I have often witnessed close calls, and this exit and median was never meant for the volume of cars we now see there every day. Something real bad is going to happen. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. The next up, we're going to have Mike Lorelli, and then after that, who do we have, Jeremy?
Samantha Galt.
Samantha Galt. Mike Lorelli, are you here, sir?
Yes, so thanks, Commissioner, if you could hear me, and I'll make this very brief.
Thank you, sir.
And I wanted to thank all the commissioners for their time in setting these up. These have been very helpful. But I do recall on the last session that, and I hope I'm not misremembering this, that you had made the comment, or someone did, that this proposal has seen more comments than probably any, or I don't know, something of that ilk. But that also your decisions are not based on the number of comments. So I don't want to make this sound sarcastic. It's not intended to be that way. By the way, I live at 15 Norman Lane in Darien. I've been in town since 1978, and I really love the chemistry of our town. But, you know, my question, which is not intended to be sarcastic, is who do you serve if you're not protecting the citizen? I thought Louisa Spear said it very well in her remarks a minute ago.
That it? You all set, Mr. Moretti? Yeah, we're elected.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're elected by the town people. So we're all elected, but all of us that are on the commission are elected by you guys, the town residents. Thank you. We appreciate it. The next up, we have Samantha Galt.
Yes,
And,
I'm here.
And after, I think Samantha Galt is Terry Bach up?
Terry Bach is after that.
Okay, and then Terry Bach is up after Samantha Galt. Welcome, Samantha. Just give us your address, please.
Sure, I'm at 46 Birch. And I want to say thank you to you and also to all of my neighbors who have put so much time and care into planning their remarks for this evening and for our past hearing. I just wanted to speak as a witness to life on Birch Road. We have lived here now for 11 years. I share everyone's concerns about traffic and safety. Traffic on this road has certainly increased in the past 11 years. You can tell that cars are more frequently rerouted up our road off of 95. We all know how frequently 95 backs up because of traffic in normal times during commuting hours and accidents. I also just wanted to add that late at night, we get cars speeding down this road. Often it is minors. Often I wake up to spiked seltzer cans and beer cans strewn on my lawn, Duchess wrappers strewn on my lawn. Just this past Sunday, my neighbor, Julie Alexander, had tire marks that ran a good 5 feet deep into her yard. So the speeding cars late at night are a concern. And I really do worry about minors seeking Slurpees at 2 a.m. It does not sound safe to me. And I just wanted to make that point. Thank you all very much.
It's great, thank you. And sorry to hear about your neighbor's lawn. That's no fun.
No.
Jerry, you have something to say?
Yes, I think what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the chat for 5 minutes. So as our next speaker is speaking, I'll take down a list of names for other people who wish to speak after Mr. Bach. So Fred, can you open up the chat for a few minutes and then I'll take a list of names.
So you're looking at the chat?
I'll look at the chat while Mr. Bach speaks.
Great, okay. So next up, we have Terry Bach. I think you spoke once before, Terry?
I did, thanks. So I'm not only grateful for the commission's time, but I'm grateful for you guys having to listen to me now twice. So appreciate that. I'm not going to repeat my comments like you asked, and I'll be brief. You know, there's been a couple of additional things that I just wanted to share to append my earlier remarks, and
What's your address again, Terry?
What's that?
What's your address again?
Sorry, Terry Bach, 7 Birch Road. Just a couple of different, my comments that I made in our last meeting 2 weeks ago, broadly concerned and asked the Planning and Zoning Commission to continue a long track record of protecting all our neighborhoods in Darien, but particularly this one. You've heard a number of conditions of our suggestions that fall into the argument, that fall into the buckets, I would say, of appropriate use, and then along the lines of traffic and quality of life and crime. And crime specifically isn't so much about the business, but as it relates to a 24-hour operation, very, very close to for a residential neighborhood. Also wanted to, as well as it relates to the scale of this operation, and a couple of things that we've, as the neighbors have uncovered. Well, as it relates to site use, I'm amongst the group of people for whom Wilder Gleason represents, and I certainly, he speaks for us and won't speak for that again, but I also did want to shine a little bit of a light on the scale of what they've talked about here. There's a lot that's talked about in terms of the 12 pumps. One of the things that's not mentioned is the plan to deploy 40,000 gallon tanks underneath this, which is many multiples above the next largest gas station in town. So it really just wanted to shine a light both on that, as well as, you know, in several instances along in 7-Eleven's presentations, they haven't exactly had their story straight at all times, and I'll say that at best. I would say in a couple of occasions even sowed seeds of distrust. And just one example, I mean, there's been many examples about their blacked out windows and their fishbowl that wasn't, and where things are going to exist and all those kinds of things. But another one was their contention that while they're gonna have a capacity of 12 pumps and tanks that are 2, 3, 4 times the size of other stations, that they were somehow going to sell that gas with the same number of deliveries that a typical gas station would have. I believe one of the commissioners started down this road very, very late at night, but I'd suggest you shine a light on another one because that certainly doesn't seem like one that could be true. Lastly, on crime, I wanted to shine a light on 2 things. Number one, Chief Anderson's plea to the community about keeping cars locked and a noted increase in overnight crime in town in the past couple days and weeks, and that we've seen a recent increase in that. I'd also point you to a news story out of Fairfield on November 29th. There's a Cumberland Farms in Fairfield that looks and feels an awful lot like the Duchess site. It's right on an I-95 on-ramp. There was a robbery at midnight, and I'm not just cherry picking some incident. This happened 10 days ago. It happened at midnight. And if there's an interview with the police on News 12, as I said, 8 days ago, where the police weren't exactly sure if the suspect had fled on foot or by car. And again, it looks exactly like the same site. It's right on the I-95 off ramp, and it's 6 exits up from exit 13. I'll send along that link for the record if it's interesting, and happy to have you look at that. Finally, and I'll close, as you guys move into the next phases and ultimately a decision, I assume those decisions come down with some comments by this commission. You know, frankly, based on the use points that Wilder Gleason laid out, it certainly doesn't seem to me that there's any room for misinterpretation or miscommunication on that this application should not get out of the batter's box based on the uses proposed. And what I would ask this commission to do is, even as that gets amended or updated or any future versions of this, that you communicate very, very clearly and unequivocally that based on the proximity to the neighborhood, and we're talking a few 100 feet away to residential homes, that you make it unequivocally clear that 24/7 is going to be a non-starter at that site. And on behalf of the neighbors, we'd like to ask that of you. Thanks again. I think we'll see you after Christmas, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. All good comments. The next up, we're going to have David Smith, and after David Smith, Karen Cummings. Okay, Mr. Smith, are you here?
Good evening. I appreciate your time. As several other people have said, I realize this is time-consuming work for you, not just on this, but all the other things that you do.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Just we need your name and address also, sir.
David Smith, 26 Birch Road. As could be expected, my partner in crime, Mr. Bach, who with me is deeply involved in the retention of legal counsel on behalf of a large group of people in the local community in publicly opposing this. I think that rather than repeat the points, I simply want to put a stake in the ground on the issues of traffic. I think they've been undercovered. I think they've been under-recognized by the applicant. I think that the data and the analysis that has been put before you by the so-called experts, the international traffic engineers' studies, are grossly inadequate. And I want to put on record that the community that is most deeply impacted about this will spare no cost in making sure that the adequate information, in fact, is put in front of you if given sufficient time, if there is any risk that this proposal is taken at all seriously by the commission. We do not feel that the information that has been put in front of you, even given Mr. Levinson's dissection of it, which is self-condemning, begins to fully characterize the negative impact that we would have on this, that this would have on us, rather. And respectfully request the opportunity to take the additional step of making that scientifically supportable if required. And we'll need time to do that. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Jeremy, can you just give us a quick update on the expected date of the traffic studies?
Sure.
On our side?
When last we left, McMahon Associates was working on responding to peer review expert Michael Galante. I expect the McMahon Associates report to be submitted to our office next week, and I expect Mr. Galante's review of their report soon thereafter. And thus, those will be posted online when we receive them within the next week or two. And then there'll be plenty of time to review them between now and the next public hearing, which we'll announce in a little while.
Okay. Argument's sake, today's the 9th.
Yes.
If Galante's report comes in on the 19th.
I don't want to hold my date, but we expect
before Christmas.
Probably before Christmas. Yes, I would say on or about sometime about the 19th that week.
That's available for public.
It will be
view.
posted as soon as we get it. Same with McMahon Associates report.
Okay.
It will be posted as soon as we get it.
And then our next meeting is somewhere in
Tuesday, January 26th.
Okay. So if it gets posted on the day after Christmas, we're not going to talk about it.
Right.
We're not going to talk about it for Christmas.
Yeah, we're not talking
So
about
until
it until
January
the-
26th. Okay. So that relative to traffic reports and holding extensions on this, there's about a 30-day time window between our traffic experts report is going to be submitted and our next public hearing. Okay, because we don't want to leave a public hearing open for someone to, while they're Gleason did ask that.
It's almost 2 months from today.
Okay, great, thank you. Then next up, we have Karen Cummings, and after that, we have David Lane. Ms. Cummings, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, thank you.
Welcome, thank you. Just your name and address, ma'am?
Sure, Karen Cummins at 19.0 Woods Road South. And I will echo everyone's thank you and appreciation for the time and energy the commission is putting into this. You know, one thing I want to bring up that I don't think I've heard brought up, or perhaps I missed it, is the issue of noise. Given that this is a 24/7, this is a proposed 24/7 business, which is 24-hour business, which is of deep concern to me for a variety of reasons, including potential for crime. But the noise factor, I think, is something that should, if it's not already being considered or studied, should be studied. You know, as far as I know, I don't believe there are any other 24-hour businesses in Darien. Perhaps I'm wrong about that, but not to my knowledge. And as somebody who lives, I'm in the you know, off a cul-de-sac on a sort of private enclave, but you can hear plenty of noise from the highway in this neighborhood. And my concern is that with a 24-hour business, where you're going to really exacerbate the noise factor, whether it's cars and trucks coming off the highway, whether it's the potential for minors to be going on that Slurpee run at 2 a.m., or potentially cars who wander off, you know, out of the 7-Eleven and take a detour through local neighborhoods. I think that's something that should be seriously considered. And if there isn't already a formal assessment of that, I think that should be added to the evaluation of this proposal.
Great.
So that's it. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have David Lane, and after that, Mike Fox. Right.
Hi, thank you.
David Lane, you're here, right?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, welcome. Yes.
Okay.
Just your address,
Thank you
sir?
very much. 65 Maywood Road and 69 Maywood Road.
Okay.
Just echo everybody, you know, and appreciate the efforts of the commission and also all the citizens' involvement, engagement on this. My question, I think the traffic issues and the complexity around Birch Road onto the Post Road is well documented and been covered here. I didn't see any mention of Richmond Drive, which is the other access out of this neighborhood onto the Post Road. And then the other question was, whether any of the traffic studies or land use looked at pedestrian access. I can envision kids and also the demographics of 7-Eleven customers and the age where kids might be riding bicycles or walking to, and whether that creates any challenges and safety issues for that location. Sidewalks, crosswalks, etc.
Okay. Thank you. The only thing I do want to make one comment because it's being studied right now is there was a new crosswalk that was put in at the end of Birch Road to cross over the Post Road to the other side. The police department, police chief doesn't know who approved that on the state level, and he's researching that.
I will tell you, I do jog and cross over and then go down into Rowayton, and that crosswalk provides very, very limited benefit or safety when trying to cross the Post Road.
Yeah, nobody knows where it came from, but I know. Nobody knows where it came from. Thank you. I appreciate those comments. The next we have up Mike Fox, and after that, Lois Schneider. Mike Fox, are you here? No, okay. Lois Schneider, I saw Lois. Lois, are you ready?
I am.
Michael Fox has his microphone on, and I see him on the box.
Okay, I don't see Mike Fox.
Try again, Michael. He's waving.
Oh, there he is. Oh, okay. Mike Fox, hold on one second, Lois, I apologize. Mike Fox, you're the president of like the gas station authority or something? Okay, why don't you figure out what's wrong with your computer and Fred can do it. We'll let Lois Schneider go to keep the process moving. Is that okay with you, Lois?
That's great. Thank you very much. Good evening, and thank you. I'll reiterate what everyone else is saying about your time and the commission's thoroughness and things. My name is Lois Schneider. I live at 31 Maywood Road, and I lived on Maywood Road for 35 years. I'm also representative in the RTM for District 1, and I'm in the Public Health and Safety Commission. My comments tonight are purely mine, and I'm going to do them at a very specific level. A lot of really good points have been made in a general level, but a couple of things I haven't heard from having lived here and making the right turn off of Richmond onto the Post Road. Want to make sure that people think about the traffic study with a little more specifics. And that is the first thing is that the exit when you're coming off of I-95 South and you're at that and you're in the median in the middle, you're not facing directly. So you're facing an angle south. So it's sometimes hard for people to see the cars that are coming southbound on the Post Road. And in particular, what happens with that is that when we make the right from Richmond onto the Post Road, cars are surprised to see us. There have been several accidents that I have seen based on that, catching them. And I just want to make sure that this kind of thing is included in the traffic study more than just the numbers. The second point is that along those same lines is that if the traffic is backed up going southbound, the entrance to I-95 southbound, that also adds some more confusion to the people that are getting off on exit 13. Then the other point is the new markings that have come out have moved the traffic at that intersection to one lane heading south as opposed to two, which really doesn't give a lot of leeway for cars moving either to go onto the highway or continuing into Darien. And the bottom line of what I want to say is that the traffic study needs to be more than just counting numbers and counting cars and really looking at the directions. And I would like it to include east of Richmond so that it's a larger circle And I appreciate all the efforts of what's been looked at for Birch Road. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Just to reiterate this again, I know a lot of people have spoken about traffic, but so far we've had two traffic studies that were submitted, two traffic study documents that were submitted by the applicant, and two traffic study response letters that were submitted by the peer reviewer that represents the town of Darien. So we've had 4 documents. I'm not gonna say 4 studies, 4 documents that were submitted to, and they're still working on probably a 5th and a 6th. These comments do get referred to our peer reviewer, which is Michael Galante. I don't know if they went down that far as Richmond Road, but he can read the transcript and listen to the statement. In his professional opinion, he'll decide if Richmond Road is. Just as for edification, the first traffic report that did come in did not go, I want to say, west to Birch Road. We had the applicant extend their study to go west of Birch Road, and that was also reiterated to be approved or suggested by Michael Galante, who works for us. Okay.
Yep.
That they usually go like 100 feet one way or 200 feet each way.
I
Is that
guess
what
it
it is?
depends on the situation. You'd have to ask them.
Yeah.
what the right-
Okay. I don't mean to digress. Going
Well,
back to
Steve,
Michael Fox.
I think we've made it very clear to the applicant that their analysis of Birch Road is extremely important. I think
Yes,
we've been very upfront to them about that from day one of this process.
Just for everyone's edification, that is Larry Warble. He is one of the commissioners on the Planning Zoning Commission. And in past hearings, public hearings, he's requested that numerous times.
We're going to open up the chat for 5 more minutes so people can add their names to the list. At this point, Mr. Fox is listed as the last speaker, unless other people wish to speak.
Okay, and is Amy Suchins here? Does she
I
want?
believe she's somewhere online.
Does she want to say anything at the end? Do you think?
We'll ask her.
Okay, great. Just if Amy, I can't see you in the room, but we are going to allow you. There you are. At the end of all public comment for this evening, you're allowed to make any statement that you would like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Fox, I think you spoke once before. Just give us your name and business and address again, sir.
Yeah, my name is Michael Fox. I'm the executive director for the gasoline retailers in Connecticut. I've been doing that now for 40 years. I also own my own mobile station in Stamford, Connecticut, a high volume convenience store service operation similar to the 7-Eleven. I have vast experience in testifying in numerous zoning boards and zoning boards of appeal throughout the entire state of Connecticut. And Mr. Chairman, I read your comment.
Michael, where do you live? Where do you live, sir?
I live in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Okay. We don't care about that.
And I'm here representing my members who own service stations in Stamford on their behalf from an experience level. And I read your comments in the paper regarding opposition to this plan by the neighbors, and I understand that position and that you're stuck with following the rules and regulations of the zoning requirements. And that's what I'm hoping to speak to here tonight and give you a little bit of a better understanding. One, in my 40 years of doing this, this has been the most disingenuous presentation that I have ever seen to a zoning board ever. The information that has been presented here has been completely false. We heard some factual testimony here tonight in regards to accidents, number of accidents and things like that. What I'm here to tell you is the volume and the traffic that they are saying and presenting to you, and they've had 3 opportunities to change what they've said to you, and they have not. So I believe, based on my experience with other zoning boards, when presentation made by an applicant is so out of the grounds of normal, and again, I'm trying to be politically correct and polite here, but this information has just been totally false. the number of cars that you're going to have coming in this facility, the gas volume coming to this facility, the total amount of volume. Some of the comments have made that they're going to have 40,000 gallons of storage tanks underground. Okay, so instead of getting a delivery every day, you're going to get a delivery other day, but no one puts 40,000 gallon tanks in the ground and not expect to sell a high volume of gasoline. The most egregious part of their presentation was, I think it was yourself, Mr. Chairman, that asked for information regarding their app that they came out with. Do they have any way of telling and measuring the response to their app? And they said no. They spent over $1.5 million developing that app. Do you really believe somebody spent that money and cannot tell the results of the app that they're sending out to their people? I've checked with every other oil company that I do business with, and that's a lot of them, if not all of them. Everyone says they can measure their app, and that's the whole purpose of the app. So I believe, based upon the special permits, the exemptions, the changes that they're requiring here in zoning, and in fact, the complete disingenuous presentation, you have enough grounds to reject this application. And certainly the other areas of concern are in regards to crime that's going to happen in the area, and more importantly, how they handle that crime. There's enough public information out there. You don't even have to dig real hard. So you all know some facts. There is a complete separate national association of 7-Eleven franchisees. For all of you that are on here tonight, just Google the 7-Eleven Franchisee Association and look on their website. You'll see all the complaints in regards to crime at their station. And that's what's going to happen at yours. I've done a presentation to the board before. There are a lot of people that still want to speak. So with that, I appreciate the time and effort that you've allowed me to speak. And for those reasons I've stated and my previous reasons, I think you should reject this application.
Great, thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your comments. Next up, we have, I lost my list. I have a list?
I think that's it.
Oh, is there anybody in the chat?
No.
We have Charlie Barthold.
Charlie Barthold.
Okay, Mr. Barthold, the floor is yours. Just state your address, name and address, please, when I find you.
I was just making a comment. I have nothing to add other than what other people have said on the call. So thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you, sir. With that said, if anybody else would like to speak, I'm not following this chat thing with these guys.
Oh, there's someone. It's
I went from 16 to 17.
Frank Piazza.
Steve,
Wendy
can you
Piazza.
say a few words?
Wendy Piazza.
Someone said yes. Just,
It's Gunnar Edelstein. I add a few
Hello?
comments.
Maya?
Gunnar,
we're looking for Wendy Piazza.
Yes, this is she.
Great, Wendy, welcome. And just give me your name and address, please, when you show up.
Wendy Piazza, 87 West Avenue. And
Okay.
just wanted to add something real quick. I just heard a comment that the traffic studies are only done within 100 yards, I think you said?
No. There, it was within 100 feet. We extended it, but the traffic study is trust me, it's not 100 yards.
Okay, because there's something happened about 15 years ago when Hugh McManus was captain. We've lived here for 25 years, and people may not be aware of it. The traffic, I don't want our friends on Birch Road to bear the brunt of this. The traffic will affect all of town. And what we saw 15 years ago when they did the bridge project on 95 was that when traffic diverted off of 95, our town is very charming. People say, oh, I'm just going to drive down this road instead of hopping right back onto 95. And when they do, oftentimes they don't like the traffic that's on the post road, and they will automatically make the right on West Avenue. Trucks came at such an intense rate off of 95, and as you know, they can't go under the bridge. They turned right on 95 on West Avenue. It became such an issue that Dwayne Lavello himself went out into the parking lot at the train station overnight for 2 nights with his men to try and turn these trucks around. The foundation in our house broke. The walls in our front bedroom cracked. My children could not sleep in the front 2 bedrooms. The traffic considerations are really excessive for the greater part of the town, not just our friends on Birch Road. So that's all I wanted to point out.
That's fine, understood. We got your letter on that, and we also do have a report from, I think, the police commissioner on that exact
Terrific.
issue you're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have Malcolm McAleer.
Yes, that's right.
Just for the record, it is 9:30, something like that. Around 9:30. We have the meeting slotted to go till 11 o'clock. So
I won't speak that long.
Okay. About 90 minutes, you got it, but no, 5 minutes would be great.
No, my comments are on top of others, really, and they'll be quick.
Just your
I'm on
address
9
too,
Birch Road.
please.
I've been here since 2007. Oops, I may be on mute.
You said
Can you hear
9
me now?
Birch Road? You said 9 Birch Road?
9 Birch Road.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
I've been here since 2007.
Yep.
And I can tell you that the intensity of the traffic up and down Birch has really it's grown a lot in the last few years. We put a double yellow line out. To have a 16-year-old child learn to drive and have to turn on Birch and have to teach that child how to turn left on Birch to the post road was a real experience. But guess what? We live here. That's something he's going to have to do, and he had to do it. Okay. Can't imagine what it's going to be like for those who become a 16-year-olds again. I have an 8-year-old now. 8 years from now, if there are trucks there and the traffic is there, I mean, left on the post road just seems almost untenable. It's hard enough for me at times. So that's anecdotal, and I know that you have studies coming out and looking at it, but I can promise you that my wait at the end of Birch is much, much, much greater than it was, 13 years ago when I moved here. Something else I don't know has been covered is the light effect. We talk about noise effect, traffic effect. The Duchess light during the winter, they have sort of a spotlight on the parking on their parking structure. That's visible from my house in the wintertime, not through the trees in the summertime. How much light is the 7-Eleven going to give off? And will that loom of the light start to affect the neighborhood? And those of us on Lower Birch, and I regard, there's a Lower Birch and an Upper Birch. I live on Lower Birch. I'm concerned about that sort of consistent glow and the friendly nature that provides strangers to sort of start to explore around unnecessarily, as they might be coming off their Slurpee run and things like that. So it's not a deep study of mine. That these are just comments on top of comments, and I appreciate your time and also your service, and that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. There is, if you do call the planning and zoning office, there is a light study. What do we want to call it? A light study? Photometric study. Yeah, it's in the file.
Okay.
We went over that a couple of nights already.
I'm sorry about that. Then I apologize.
It's fine. It's okay. It's you're more than welcome to ask. That is something that we cover. Yes. Anybody else?
That's it.
That's it.
Hey, Steve.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna. It's Larry.
Yep, I got you.
I'm just looking at the chat, and I'm going to put this into the record. There's a lot of folks curious about the traffic study, taking a look at Richmond, which I believe to date there has not been any analysis on Richmond in any of the documents we've seen already. I think I think it's a fair question to ask that the traffic studies include Richmond.
Okay, Jeremy's going to answer that question. And before we end tonight, and any commissioner that would like to speak, you're more than welcome. So we can do it around the horn before we close for tonight.
Okay.
Jeremy,
I will say that all the application materials, everything that's been submitted from the applicant side, from the peer reviewer's side, from the general public, is all posted to the town website, darien.ct.gov/PZC pending applications, and then you scroll down to 306 Boston Post Road. If you also want to come to the office, you can see the hard copy versions of what we posted online. It's all here in our office in a big file. but it's also online for your review if anyone wants it. All the letters.
Do they need an appointment to get to town hall nowadays?
No, you can just
Okay.
come into town hall or review it all online. One more speaker, Peggy Barthold.
Okay, and I think, you want to, I think Gunther wants to.
Gunnar Edelstein.
Like to speak.
Hi, it's
Oh,
Gunnar
We're gonna go
Edelstein
Peggy
again.
We're gonna go Peggy Barthold first. Is Peggy, you here? Did I said that right? Peggy
Yeah,
Barthold?
Peggy Barthold.
Peggy Barthold, if you're here, please unmute yourself, wave, say hi. And then give us your name and address. Okay. There she is. Someone's waving at me. You're muted, ma'am. Or miss. Okay. Keep working on it, and then if you chime in, you chime in. Mr. Edelstein, I hope I pronounced it right.
Yes.
You want to add something, sir? Go ahead.
Gunnar Edelstein, 118 Colony Road again. Just very quickly, as I mentioned, my office where I work is at 455 Post Road. And very often the traffic southbound on the Post Road is backed up from all the way up, well into Norwalk, coming down the Post Road, heading into Darien, such that where my office, I live on the other side of town over by Middlesex School. Sometimes rather than going down the Post Road, what I have to do is make a left, go north or go east on the Post Road up to Richmond, up to Birch Road, go all the way around and come, take the back roads all the way around to get back to the other side of town. And it's not uncommon to see the Post Road basically a gridlock or a parking lot all the way into town, beyond down, say, where Corbin Drive or even beyond the Darien Sports Shop. So the traffic issues that this 7-Eleven would create would just add to an already bad situation. I think it would be just monumental. And again, I urge you to reject this application, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm back, Peggy Barthold. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
If I can hear you. Your screen just went blank. That's fine.
Okay, Peggy Barthold, 34 Richmond Drive. I just quickly wanted to go on to also say we can't forget about Richmond Drive. There are a couple things here. We have on the corner of Richmond Drive 2 places that are currently businesses that are currently not open. One that's going to be opening, and not sure what's happening with Blue Wave Taco, which is additional traffic that I think we also need to take into consideration. On Sunday at about approximately maybe 1 o'clock, I don't remember the exact time, I went to turn right onto the Post Road off of Richmond Drive, and the traffic was backed up all the way past, probably almost down to Chipotle. So I quickly turned around because I didn't want to get caught in that. And I can't even begin to tell you how many other people were coming down Richmond Drive and the people going down Birch, because I immediately called some friends on Birch and said, are you getting all this traffic? And I was able to go out the back way. But what happens now is Waze will send people, when the Post Road is backed up, they send people right down Richmond Drive and right down Birch, because those are 2, sorry to say, cut through streets. So I had a line of traffic following me out down, and I went down Maywood in order to get out. This is something that the traffic study needs to pay attention to, especially that we have these other, this restaurant, which was the former Darien Diner, that is going to be opening up into something new that's going to be open up till 11 o'clock at night, we've been told. I would ask the commission to please take a really hard look at this traffic study. And thank you for all of your time and everything that you guys do. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate that too. Yeah, Jess, I can tell you that the scope of the traffic studies have been expanded from day one to where we are today and where we're going in the next 2 weeks. Mr. Pegler, was told that you would like to speak one more time, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Hutch Pegler, 31 Point Woods. I think Peggy actually just made the point I was looking to make, or the question I was looking to ask with regard to including Richmond in the study. I think based particularly on Mr. Levinson's very compelling presentation, that when you look at the southbound exit 13 ramp from the turnpike, Interstate 95 or Richmond Road comes right out at the same place. I would hope that the commission would look to make Richmond Drive within the scope of the traffic studies.
Hey,
Thank you. 1 second, Kara. I can tell you that we made some suggestions to the traffic study people. One was to look at the weekend traffic there, and also expand scope. I don't know what the final product's going to look like at this time.
In a week or 10 days.
Yeah, but once you do see, it's not. Once you see their final copy or final report, it's not a final report. Anybody else before we go to the commissioners?
Ned May. Ned May.
Mr. May, are you here? Ned May?
Yes, can you hear me?
Mr. May, if you're here, welcome to the commission or to the public hearing. You just give me your name and address. Oh, I see you're waving.
Hey, one second.
Not a problem.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
We can hear you now. It's like Verizon.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you. Ned May from 21 Richmond Drive. I won't repeat a lot of what's said, but just additionally on the traffic, we're talking about Birch Road. We're now talking about expanding it to Richmond Drive. I think it's critical to look all the way to the northbound I-95 exit. And I would implore the commission to really take into account the dramatic impact 7-Eleven could have through Waze, through 7-Eleven's own app, and other means. So I'm a bit surprised it's taken this long to expand the traffic study to include Richmond Drive, and would encourage the commission to go even further. That was one point. The second point I'd make is I haven't been through all of the information online. I've been through a lot of it. I don't believe I've seen one letter of support aside from the applicant. This is my first involvement with the P&Z, but to see the hundreds of people on this call, the prior call, all the letters is pretty astounding, almost unanimously in opposition on a range of different topics, not just from the close vicinity of the site, but across town. And then lastly, I think it's been touched on, but just the series of misleading, contradictory elements of the proposal is again, it's astonishing. The last meeting we saw the fishbowl safety piece discussion, all the limited visibility challenge sightlines. Yeah, that was certainly surprising to hear that discussion. The traffic work, we talked about all the contradictory elements. We've talked about the references to the town regs. I thought it was fascinating on the last meeting, 7-Eleven alone mentioned the floor plan they've submitted before the P&Z is just a boilerplate floor plan. It was not specific to this site, which after all the preambles and 4 different meetings, to say that the actual floor plan was just a corporate boilerplate, I thought was pretty amazing. And there's a bunch of other stuff. But so I think it's that the sheer volume of across every single category, contradictory and misleading information on the one hand, and on the other hand, nearly unanimous opposition is just hopefully speaks volume to the commission. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. I think that's it, right? Okay. Commissioners, I think that's all the public comment that asked to speak or wanted to speak.
Yep.
It's now we're 9:45, but time really doesn't matter. Let's go around the horn with the commissioners, if we don't mind. Jim Rand, you want to go first? You have anything to add? Questions, comments, things we want to make sure Jeremy knows about?
I have some thoughts, but I think I'd rather wait till we get to deliberating the matter than take up the commission's time today.
That's okay.
Well, why don't we just announce the continuation date? Okay. So everyone's here. The hearing, tonight's hearing on 7/11 will be continued to Tuesday, January 26th, 2021 at 8 p.m.
7:30.
7:30. Thank you, Steve. So Tuesday, January 26th at 7:30 p.m., January 26, 2021. And it will be a login very similar to this. And we'll get the numbers out the week before the meeting.
The Thursday before the meeting.
Thursday afternoon before the meeting. And we'll continue to post everything to the website that comes in the interim, as well as put it in a hard copy file. And all the letters that you send, whatever gets submitted by the applicant, by the general public, all ends up, commission gets hard copies or emails of all of it. So they see everything that is submitted.
Great. Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Jim Rand, you're good. You have no questions or instructions for staff at all? You're good?
No, just a timing issue or question. We are waiting for some things that we have requested of the applicant, so we have to get those before we can consider closing the hearings. Is that
correct, Mr. Rand? That is absolutely correct. We do expect the applicant's traffic study from McMahon's Associates to follow up to Mr. Galante's letters. Mr. Galante will review those. He will have a letter as well.
Please.
There may be input or feedback from the police commission or local traffic authority. The applicant, I know, is considering other supplemental information. So certainly you will be getting more information throughout between now and the next hearing on January 26th. So yes, there is more information to come.
Okay, thank you.
Can you let us know if stuff comes in before January 26th, so we don't get it like, on the Friday before?
Yes.
What I just asked Jeremy is if the traffic study does come in the next 2 weeks, we get that sooner than later in hard copy or in our quote unquote packets or something. I talk to Jeremy twice or 3 times a week, but I don't check the webpage every day. That's good, Jim. I did that. Now, how about Jennifer? Any questions from Jen? You good? Kara, anything you want to add, subtract, questions? You good? Larry, George, anything from you, sir?
No, just to compliment all the speakers, very substantive tonight. I appreciated it, but no further comment tonight.
Great, and Larry Warble.
Yeah, no, George beat me to the punch. I really wanted to thank everybody who got involved. I think some of these presentations were very, very forceful, very, very, very factual. A lot of really excellent data. A lot of it mirrored some of the data I've looked at, come up with myself, and it's all information that I'll be taking very seriously and evaluating very seriously. So I wanted to really. It looks like some people put a lot of effort into what they put out tonight, and I just wanted to let them know I appreciate it and thank them for their efforts.
And I would echo what you said too. Thank you. Some people did some good research. Amy Sochins, you were here. I take it that you heard most of what everyone said tonight. I didn't take attendance of if you were here or not at the very beginning, but I'm sure you were.
Our team has been here from the start, so we've heard all of the comments. I think the 2 things that I would like to respond to are, number 1, the frankly repeated assertion that we are flyers, for lack of a better word. I take that comment quite personally. I have always been very candid with this commission. I think our team has been very candid with this commission and with the members of the public. I think the proof of that, frankly, is that if there is information that the public is using against us, it sort of shows that we are being truthful to you, because if we were going to be misleading, I would think we would do that in a way that would portray us in a much more positive light than I think many of the members of the public have stated. And then the second piece is that, as Mr. Ginsburg noted, we are, having heard all of the public comment, certainly we were expecting additional comment and heard all of it tonight. We will be providing updated, taking all of the comments, providing any kind of updated plans, revisions based on all of those comments to you, certainly with plenty of time for you and the members of the public to review those. The goal is certainly to have all of that done with sufficient time, hopefully the end of the year. So you have several weeks to be able to review it. And then with respect to the last item about expanding the traffic study, I would strongly encourage you to speak, have Mr. Ginsburg speak with Mr. Galante about whether that's something that he would recommend in his professional judgment. You have an expert that the town has long retained, I think has a very good reputation in the industry as somebody who is, very qualified and a longtime peer reviewer. And so I would encourage you to speak with him about whether or not that study should be expanded and what his professional judgment is on that issue.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, I did look at your consultant's last study from November 3rd, and they stopped before Richmond Road, but I can't tell you what to do. Michael Galante can suggest it, but we'll talk to Michael too.
Yeah, and certainly I will tell you there has not been a comment to date that we should expand, from Mr. Galante that the study area was insufficient. So I think that's why I would suggest you talk to him, because he's the one with the expertise to advise you as to whether or not that's appropriate.
Understood. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So January 26th, 7:30 p.m.
7:30 p.m. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. So we're going to continue this to January 26th, 7:30 p.m. And the commission is going to move on to our next item on the agenda.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All righty. We'll wait a couple minutes here for people to log out and then hit our agenda. Here's my chart. All right. Who's ever left? Now we're going to go into the general meeting, since I'm permitting. It's now 9:55. The next item we have on our agenda is deliberations only. It is, I'm going to go ahead. Coastal Site Plan Review number 80-A, Land Filling and Regrading Application number 489, Timothy and Angela Riley, 241 Long Neck Point Road. This is one of the houses. We have two houses at the end of Long Neck Point Road. One's inside the gates or the fence, one's outside the fence. We had a pretty straightforward presentation. Anything I'm missing, Jeremy?
Yeah, this was the presentation from Pete Romano of Land Tech. This is the currently vacant property, which is just beyond the gate on Long Neck Point Road as you're driving down. Proposal for a new house, a pool. You may recall that they're putting in a new southernmost driveway, which is through an easement on the neighbor's property. They're putting all the work. The house and the pool are more than 100 feet back. They're doing some repair and reset of the stone walls near the water, putting in some water quality drainage. You may recall that I think no neighbor spoke against this, if I recall. It was fairly uneventful. I don't know if the commission had any thoughts on the coastal aspects or the minor regrading that's proposed.
This one didn't have the pool issue, right? The other one had the pool issue.
That's correct. This one is now currently vacant. Yes.
Yeah. Go around the horn. You want to go? Let's go ladies first again. Kara, anything on this one?
No.
Nope. Good. Jen?
Nope.
You good? George Riley?
No, sir. No concern.
Okay. Larry is good. And Jim Rand.
Okay, yep, no questions.
Great, thank
We'll
you.
draft something for our next meeting in January.
Great, so we'll draft up a resolution for January. Next one we have is coastal site plan review number 352, landfilling and regrading application number 490. Michael Kling, 237 Long Neck Point Road. This is the house that's kind of a replacement house, right inside or outside the gates before you go in there.
Yep.
They're knocking down a shed, they're knocking down a cottage, and they're keeping the garage, which is basically on the property line, and I think it's non-conforming.
That's correct.
They're
Non-conforming garage.
they're fixing the pool. They're
Yeah.
replacing the pool in the same spot, which is also non-conforming.
Yes, and one of the issues that came up during the hearing was the whole fireplace and the relationship to
yeah.
Mr. Ramsey. I think the sense I got was the commission wanted to see that fireplace moved, turned 90 degrees, so it's further from the tree that the applicant was hoping to protect and the neighbor wanted protected. And I think that's the sense I got, that was the commission's concern, was if they can turn that fireplace 90 degrees.
I thought it was 45 degrees, just to get technical.
It might be 45 degrees, but further to the, I'll
Right,
call it the south, but it's really the east.
great. Yep. Because I said it was at 3 o'clock, Steve, you can move it to 3:30.
Steve, I'm looking at it. They moved it to 6 o'clock. So it's at they moved it.
Yeah, move it to anywhere south of between 4:30 and 7 o'clock, if you will. But you're right, Steve, the issue here is the non-conforming garage will remain, the non-conforming shed and cottage are proposed to go. The pool will remain in generally the same location. They showed a proposed dock for the future. And I don't know much more to add. I don't know if commission members had any comments on this application over and above those.
No, we just left, we closed the hearing and left them open for them to redo the plans and then also get an arborist for that one tree. To make sure that it's gonna be okay.
Okay.
Any other comments on that application? George Riley, go, you're good? Jen saying no, she's okay? Carrie, your head's down, I can't see your eyes. But I think you're okay? You good? Jim Reyes is laughing at me? All
Can you
right.
see my eyes? Yeah, I'm okay.
See your eyes. And Larry Warble, you good?
Okay, we'll
Larry's
have
good?
something for January 5th.
All right, we'll draft something for January 26th, right?
No, the 5th is our next meeting.
Oh, okay. January 5th. Thank you. And with regard to the other one, we're going to see that one January 5th too. Right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. That's that. Next up, we have chairman's report. The only thing that we'll kind of like 3 things on my short list. No, it's 10 o'clock. One was it last night? 2 nights ago.
Yep.
2 nights ago, Monday night was State of the Town. I think we had a good showing. I don't know how many people were watching on TV 79 or on Zoom. Hopefully, if everybody saw the speech live or watches it on tape. I personally think Jeremy did a great job and Fred did a great job with the speech. I also think that I did a lousy job of doing the presentation. I think the message was right. I think I was not, when I watched myself on tape after the fact, I was not impressed with how I spoke.
Never do that. Never go back and look. Don't do that.
Yeah, sorry. But we'll try to do better next time if we get another chance.
Well, thank you to all of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well
There are
done.
definitely some. There are
Well
definitely
done.
some.
Seconded by the chairman.
Thank you. The next item, and we didn't speak about this at all. Anything to report on the RFQ documentation?
Still working on it. Hope to have something to you guys, right before Christmas.
Okay, that's great. And then the other item that I had on my list was that council of chairs, if that's what you want to call it, the people that are the P&Z chairmen. There's a lot of work that some of those chairmen in the other towns like Westport, Richfield, and Greenwich are doing. I'm part of that ad hoc committee or whatever it might be, if it's anything at all. They're really focused on the stuff up in Hartford and other stuff besides just Hartford. They did have a meeting today at 4 o'clock. I missed it, but I'm supposed to get it downloaded for them next week. There's a lot of people working on stuff that affects every single town in our part of the country. Did we do anything on the subcommittee report?
Subcommittee did meet, and we're going to get something back to you shortly.
Okay, so you have the document now.
Fred and I met with the group. It was a good meeting, and as I said, something will go out to you. If not tomorrow, then Monday.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions for me? That's kind of it on my end. Nope. Good. The next is approval of minutes. Okay. For the minutes, I marked up mine.
Right there, Steve. Right here on top. Oh, that's your version. Right there.
Okay, we went over the minutes last time. This is the minutes from November 10th. We went over them last time. There's a couple of resolutions at the beginning, and we just wanted to take another keen eye at the part where it got into the public hearing, which is, we're okay with that one.
Page 17?
Yeah, page 16 of 17 of, no, I'm sorry, page 17 of 19, a bunch of stuff changed. I had one other question I'd like to see if I could do is, and I hope we don't check the tape on it. The second, almost the second to last paragraph of page 17, it talks about Mr. Lowry Warble said that the current wait time at Birch Road Prosperous was now 27 seconds. I was going to say add according to the data provided.
Okay.
It's not like Larry, you didn't count 27 seconds, right?
No, that was their, I was reading from their report to make sure I was understanding what they wrote.
Okay, I just didn't want to make sure it was you. The next,
I don't have those minutes in front of me right now. I don't know if they, were they emailed or did you drop them in a package?
Fred emailed, it was an electronic email packet on Friday. So you get an emailed copy of the minutes and it was all redlined.
Okay.
You said it sometime Friday, I'm going to say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Let me go through my next one if I may. Which is the second, the first paragraph on page 18. It talks about Mr. Adams will not show the occupancy of the building in 2016. No, accounted for. Mr. Avani noted that in 2016, the office rooms were vacant. And today, did I say there was 70% occupied? I know that's for a fact. I thought I might have said it, but if I didn't say it, you can't add it.
I think I did watch the tape on this, and I think if you said it, I would have been.
Coming to you. I didn't say it. All right. And then I guess the last one is, I think it's a question. It's on page 19 of 19. It talks about, Ms. Sochin said that they would submit renderings showing the windows and the visual lines and views from Boston Post Road. Have we seen that yet?
I don't know.
Okay. That's like a takeaway. You know, when you have, when we do stuff, sometimes they do sight lines. They give you an intersection, they point arrows and say, this is where you can see, that's where you can see. That's what I was kind of thinking that we were going to get. I don't ever recall the applicant on that one doing that yet, but that's the question we have for that. Those are my only comments to these minutes. Does anybody have so many comments? Scrivener's errors, typos, nothing?
No.
Okay, we're good.
Need a motion.
You need to entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended. George Riley makes a motion. Who wants to make a second? Jen Leahy makes a second. All those in favor? Say aye. That's unanimous. 6-0. I got a thumbs up from Jim Rand. Fantastic. All right. Next, this is a special meeting, so there's no other business. We can't do that. Our next meetings are January 5th and January 12th, 2021. Remember, those start at 7:30 p.m. Same bat channel, different bat time.
Exactly.
I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season coming up because I'm not going to see you guys on Zoom again. Hopefully I get to see you in person or whatever, just go to meeting. And thank you everybody else for a great 2020 year. And look forward to working with everyone again in 2020. That's it for me.
Ditto. Thank you.
And
Thank you
to the
for
motion.
your hard work. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Happy
We need a
holidays.
motion- We need a motion to close.
Sure.
Motion to
moved.
adjourn. Jim Rand and George
Yes, sir.
Rock, the second. All those in favor? The year is
Aye.
adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.